let's explore more autistic history and the Autism Wars. This is part 96 of a series. We are still in the testimony of Anthony Edwards to Congress at an autism hearing back in 99, and I'm going to pick back up where I left off. And picking back up to if it's not only the centers, but it is the money. And let me explain why this may be a special case. And other diseases, breast cancer, prostate cancer, Parkinson's, eventually, sooner rather than later, you die. If you have any money, you leave some to fund research. But autism affects children. They don't lobby. They have no voice. They don't raise any money. And their parents are too busy taking care of a very ill child to do much of anything else. When the parents die, if there is any money in the family, it goes towards taking care of the adult children. So they don't become wards of the state. The pot never gets any bigger. Recently, as the numbers have increased, as famous people like Dan Marino and Doug Flutie and Senator Slade Gorton have come forward to talk about their kids and their grandkids, the autism community has mobilized. They have aggressively recruited scientists, raised money, started resources and fellowships. They feel that the potential to make a breakthrough is here. Despite financial strain and limited time and endless heartbreak, they have done more than their part. Mind you, none of this is about quality of life for autistics. This is about cures. So now they're asking you to do yours. I know that every parent's pain is deep and that suffering is not a competitive sport, and it is not to be ranked and rated. But in autism, the neglect has been so severe and the potential for progress is so great that to do nothing would be tragic. I know one little boy with autism pretty well. He likes to jump on the trampoline and play in the sand, and sometimes he runs up to you and gives you a hug. But other times when he is crying late at night, he can't tell his parents if he had a bad dream, a tummy ache, or if he's sad because his little 2-year-old brother can talk and he can't, even though he's 7. But when I look into his sparkly brown eyes, I know that they are in there and that he is in there and that he's counting on us to help get him out. Please pass Senator Gorton's bill, the Advancement in Pediatric Autism Research Act, out of this committee and send it onto the Senate floor this year. It will make a real difference in the lives of countless American children and their families forevermore. Thank you. So the celebrities, I believe that the celebrities testifying, especially back then, were not aware of the damage they were causing the autistic community and autistic people by speaking for us, without us, and for autism organizations that were founded by parents who had a very specific agenda for what they wanted to happen. And the autistic community, who they were very incredibly aware of these founding parents. And I'm not saying all the parents that are in this understand this, nor the celebrities at that time probably understand this, what's actually happening, but the founding parents of these autism organizations and their folks that are officially affiliated with them absolutely do know this. So it's being done purposefully, because autistics will not comply and we will not be silent, so we just get silenced. This is what's happening in this. We are not having representation in legislation when the opportunity for that was absolutely possible, for that inclusion, but it was purposefully not done. So this is the reality that we've had to live with for decades now, and it's taken autistic activists and allies and generations of a civil rights movement, an autistic rights movement, to actually get to this point where we're being heard at the level we are today, because this has not always been the case, and it's been very difficult to break that ceiling that they put on us. So this isn't just happening right now because it's just happening that autistics are being more heard today. This is generations upon generations of autistics and real allies that came before, and the work that we have done before, and the work that the ones who came before me have done before, and the work now, it's all coming together. And Generation Z and millennials, and with the alpha generation that's coming up, all this work is going to start landing in a beautiful way, because it's getting heard. And that's why it's so important for autistic history to be understood, especially by autistics, on how we got here and why we're here now, so we can better advocate and be activists for future generations. But it's my hope that Generation Z will be the biggest benefit of all these years of hard work for all of us. You are the future. You are the future. And I want you to be heard. And I want you to have better autistic healthcare. I want you to have better supports and services. I want you to have better community and better quality of life, and have self-determination and pride in yourself, as well as supports to be the most you can be in your life, you know, whatever that is for you. Not all of this. Not all of this. We are not tragedies. We are not. And I am autistic, and an autistic parent of autistics who are now young adults. And, well, no, I have a millennial and a Generation Z children that are autistic. Yeah, so I'm Gen X. Here we go. So going back to the timeline, October 13th, I have a testimony of Rene Russo, but it's very much in the same vein as Anthony Edwards. And Rene Russo lost a child to something not autism, but there's a lot of that pain in here, and so it really hurt my heart. That part, but it's just sad. That pain, you know, of losing a child is horrific. So anyhow, again, I don't believe this celebrity was understanding what was happening here, and really, really did have the intent of helping autistic children with what they understood and believed with at the time. And, you know, I've been a parent for a lot of years now, like 30-something, and I know from personal experience, when I know better, I do better. And that's all I can do. I can not go back and change the past, and I have done things in the past that I'm just like, now, what? Even the language I was using was... But when we know better, we do better. So that's what we can do, trying to build bridges with families and parents and professionals now. Let's learn all history and not repeat this. Let's do much better going forward and talk about real inclusion for autistic healthcare, autistic education, autistic supports and services, community and living, right? I mean, the numbers that we suffer an early death from, the numbers that we are homeless, the numbers that we are incarcerated as care, the numbers of just abuse after abuse and sheer homelessness. These are the real outcomes of autism awareness campaigning, and these outcomes aren't any better now. 20 and 30 years later, we are not showing the autistic people doing better the way that they were saying we would back at this time. So keep that in mind. We still have our number one early death is by suicide, and our median lifespans are very short, not because we're autistic, but because we live in an environment that is so hostile to us. So we have to understand our back history to understand how we can go forward better together. This is my hope anyway.